You're looking at a live shot of the arena where President Obama will be addressing the Democratic National Convention this evening. What's he going to say, and how have the Twitter sphere been reacting to last night's speech by Bill Clinton? We'll have that and more right here, right now on Digits. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Simon Constable, and we have the one and only Liz Heron, social media director of the Wall Street Journal, joining us now from Charlotte. And she has a special guest from Twitter. It's Adam Sharp. She's going to talk with him now.
Hi, Simon. Thanks for having us on again. I'm here with Adam Sharp. So, how's it going, Adam? Thanks for being with us.
Going well. One day left.
That's right. Home stretch. So, quickly take us through some of the peaks and valleys of Twitter chatter for the DNC.
Well, the story of the DNC is just volume. You'll remember last week we saw a total of 5 million tweets for the RNC, and that's Saturday to Saturday. If we cut it off at Thursday night, it was 4 million tweets. Here we are Wednesday morning at 6.5 million tweets so far for the DNC. Let's look at Tuesday night. This was the night for the First Ladies. Last week was Ann Romney. This week it was Michelle Obama. Ann Romney in red here. Michelle Obama just completely eclipsing her in sheer volume. At her peak, 28,000 tweets per minute. That is double Mitt Romney's speech. It is double the State of the Union address this year. Even when you adjust for user growth since January, it is a significant increase over the State of the Union. Ann Romney had been at about the 7,000 mark during her speech, followed by Chris Christie there. So a lot of interest and a lot of response to Michelle Obama's speech on. Let's go to last night. Bill Clinton. Earlier in the night, saw a lot of the same patterns as we did in Tampa, hovering there right around the 1,000 to 2,000 tweets per minute mark. When the networks start going on the air at 10 o'clock, though, that's where we start seeing the separation take place. Senator Fluck getting things started with a spike there, then Elizabeth Warren speaking, and then the former President Bill Clinton staying at a pretty steady 13,000 or so tweets per minute for most of his speech. He's joined on stage at the end of the speech by current President Barack Obama. Hits 22,000 tweets per minute. Not quite First Lady's numbers, but certainly eclipsing the Republican speaker last week, Paul Ryan, who was in this roughly 7,000 tweet per minute range.
So you're talking about volume of tweets and chatter, but can you give us any insight into what people are saying? I mean, was it positive or negative? What does it mean that there are so many more tweets about the DNC than the RNC in terms of sentiment?
Well, I think it's important to separate the two things, because just because the volume has increased doesn't necessarily mean it's all good. We saw that last week with Rick Santorum's speech, where he had one of the biggest pre-10 o'clock spikes, but it's satirical of his talk about hands that built America and so on and so forth. We've been tracking the Twitter Political Index. This is our daily measurement of Twitter user attitudes towards the candidates. Right now, Barack Obama at 50. These are last night's numbers, so pre-Bill Clinton speech numbers. Mitt Romney at 10. Anything below 50s means that they are among the more positively viewed topics on Twitter. Below 50 means they're among the more negatively viewed topics on Twitter. Above 50 means they're among the more positively viewed topics on Twitter. So right now, the president is right at that median. Mitt Romney viewed relatively negatively. Now, this is the inverse of what we saw last week when we were at Tampa. It was the Republican convention. The conversation was mostly on the Romney side. He saw a peak of 60 following his wife's speech on Tuesday night, but then dropped off from there, and by the weekend, any gains made during the convention had deteriorated. Each night, we see the speakers ratcheting it up a little bit more. Barack Obama went into this convention at 25. After Michelle Obama left the stage, he was at 54 and then settled to this 50 again last night that we saw on the previous screen.
So Michelle really gave him the most positive bump so far.
Yes, and after Bill Clinton spoke last night, Barack Obama shifted up again to 61. We report these numbers daily. We'll see where that settles out. It'll probably be somewhere in the 50s at the end of the day today. Now, that would be notable for President Obama because that would actually show him building night to night, whereas Mitt Romney last week started dropping off immediately after the bump he got from the Ann Romney speech.
So, Adam, tell us a little bit about your demographics at Twitter. Does this truly reflect what you think is public opinion here, or are there possibly just more people who are likely to vote Democratic on Twitter, who use Twitter?
Well, I think, most people would expect that Twitter users may be a little younger, maybe more tech savvy. But what we're measuring here are people who are talking actively about the campaign. And this is a much broader cross-section of the electorate. When we have compared the data to, for example, the Gallup poll for President Obama over the last 2 years, it's correlated pretty tightly. And we've partnered with two polling firms, the Mellman Group, a Democratic firm, and North Star Opinion Research, a Republican firm, to help validate that we are seeing a balanced cross-section of the electorate when making these predictions. When you look at these historical numbers going back to May 1st, you find that President Obama has been leading only about 57% of the time, Mitt Romney about 43% of the time, and the average over this period has been about a 3 to 4 point lead for the president, which is also what we're seeing in national polls that are able to go specifically trying to get that perfect tapestry of the electorate.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your insights, Adam. We really appreciate it. And back to you, Simon.
Thank you very much. That was Liz Heron, social media director here at the Wall Street Journal. Well, our convention coverage will continue. We'll continue throughout the day tonight, but tonight we'll have primetime coverage with Alan Murray. He will be interviewing Paul Ryan's Democratic counterpart on the Budget Committee, Representative Chris Van Hollen. You will not want to miss that. Check that out. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern here on WSJ Live and on WSJ.com.